You're watching Hush Pop Media, your daily dose of celebrity buzz, breaking rumors, and everything Hollywood doesn't want you to know. Let's pop the hush and spill the tea.
Late night host Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air after taking the summer off. He's missed a lot. Kimmel says if you're not vaccinated, you shouldn't get a hospital ICU bed. But I'm not sure if Jimmy was being sincere because he wasn't crying. Anyway, it's just funny hearing someone say, "I see you," who nobody actually sees. Look, I don't want to suggest that Kimmel's show has become boring and predictable, but last night during the taping, people in the studio audience were changing the channel.
Picture Jimmy Kimmel just doing his usual thing, cracking dad jokes, when suddenly Greg Gutfeld crashes into the comedy scene like a wild raccoon on an energy drink, with a mic and a mission. In no time, it's not just jokes anymore, it's a comedy beatdown. Gutfeld didn't just roast Kimmel, he launched him into space, sarcasm powering the liftoff. Ever seen a clown car slowly catch fire? It's like that, but way funnier. Stay tuned. This roast leaves behind scars, the emotional kind.
Part about this whole thing is that his presidency is ripe for mockery and ridicule and even gentle humor if you like him. I mean, just Hunter Biden alone, in the recent stuff, I mean, you could go on forever. But Kimmel has abdicated his role of a comedian. He's now just a political hack, which I'm grateful for because then I get the turf to myself. I'm not a comedian, but I just filled the gap. That's why I'm beating him every night because he sat there with that guy and basically he spoon-fed him like he was a dementia patient at a...
It kicked off with one of those classic Greg Gutfeld moments. He looked up from his desk, scanned the late-night TV world, and asked, "Wait, is Jimmy Kimmel still acting like he's funny?" And boom, just like that, the comedy world had a new punching bag. See, Gutfeld has this strange gift. He notices the obvious, then says it out loud. Risky stuff in a business where everyone nods in unison and calls it original.
Kimmel actually said in that thing that, you know, the people who voted for Trump, they just don't know what they've done. You know, they don't realize how badly they've hurt themselves. And so it's not a concern for others that you're seeing with this. It's an expression of ego, that they are smarter than all of these people. And as always, when you're a slave to your ego, it's always somebody else's fault, you know, and therefore they cannot see their own errors, their own mistakes. You know, if you are open up to being wrong, you're more than likely going to end up right once in a while. But these guys have been wrong for 8 years. They've been wrong for 8 years because they can't let go of their egos.
Kimmel, once the proud co-host of a show full of beer and bikinis, now wraps himself in serious speeches and teary monologues. The guy who once cheered for women on trampolines now cries about the climate under bright studio lights. That's not a glow-up, it's a glitch. Gutfeld didn't just make fun of him. He turned sarcasm into a factory line, tossing Jimmy's past onto the belt and letting the jokes roll.
Kimmel cries about cancel culture. Kennedy, in a recent interview, Jimmy Kimmel blames liberal cancel culture of all things and their perpetual manufactured outrage for helping get Trump reelected. He specifically talked about their attacks on comedians. Tonight, Jimmy Kimmel fought back tears while falsely claiming Donald Trump attacked LA firefighters, prompting the LA Fire Department to attach a hose to Jimmy's face.
While Kimmel stumbles through cue cards that sound like they were written by a high school student trying to flirt in government class, Gutfeld drops jokes that are sharp, raw, and faster than a chainsaw on espresso. Kimmel's shift into a preachy, late-night moral guy isn't a smart career move. It's one big collective eye roll. This is the same guy who built his fame on fart jokes, now acting like the voice of a nation's conscience.
It was a terrible night for women, children, and for the hundreds of thousands of hard-working immigrants who cut his lawn.
It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go. For health.
Over on his side, Gutfeld's been busy doing the wildest thing in comedy, actually being funny. It would almost be sad if it weren't so much fun to watch. This wasn't just a one-liner takedown. Gutfeld rolled out a whole buffet of sarcasm. Picture someone slowly blowing up a balloon, only to pop it with a pin made of pure wit and glitter. That's what happened to Kimmel. It all started with Greg pointing out how Kimmel talks about kindness, but used to make jokes that would be canceled in 5 seconds today. The guy who once laughed at everything now acts like he invented compassion. Greg didn't even have to say it straight. The irony screamed louder than words. Kimmel's shift in style could be taught in class as what not to do when you used to be fun. And as Gutfeld shredded the man once known for edgy laughs, the audience started remembering. Kimmel used to have energy, attitude, and something close to originality. Now, he's like tofu with a lecture, bland, smug, and trying. Too hard to be healthy.
For everyone who voted against him, and guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet.
Oh. You know what? If I ever cry on TV, it'll be because Maroon 5 put out a new song. But that's it. Yeah, big. Now.
Meanwhile, over at the Gutfeld show, the vibe is totally different. People are actually laughing, not to prove a political point, but because the jokes are just good. Greg's turned into the comedy version of a high-tech drone. He doesn't just roast, he targets and wipes out. He watched Kimmel's latest teary monologue and didn't respond with anger. He hit back with laser-sharp sarcasm. It was the kind of takedown that doesn't yell, it smirks. Because when someone opens a show by crying about the world, then ends with a lazy hashtag joke, what else can you do but laugh? And the ratings prove it. While Kimmel's show sinks, like a bad burrito in a clogged drain, Gutfeld has done what seemed impossible. He made late-night fun again. He skipped the usual Hollywood cycle of preach, giggle, cry, repeat, and focused on what matters, being funny. Critics say Greg isn't real late night, but maybe that's the point. Traditional late night now feels like a lukewarm soup of forced jokes, tired politics, and dudes in suits who forgot how to be funny after 2008.
But the killer phrase was at the end when Kimmel said, "You just don't realize it." Because you see, he's smarter than you, and he needs you to know that. And his ego can't bear that there's someone out there more famous and more influential than him. I got news for you, Kimmel. The last time you mattered, Bruce Jenner still had a pee.
Then Gutfeld shows up, drops some uncensored truth bombs, and actually makes people laugh. It hardly seems fair. He didn't just poke fun at Kimmel's show. He came for the whole setup that lets guys like Kimmel pretend lectures are entertainment. He joked about the fake cheers for boring speeches. He mocked the idea that scolding your audience means connecting with them. And he reminded everyone, comedy isn't supposed to come with a guilt trip. Take Kimmel's favorite move, hypocrisy. Jimmy used to make edgy, offensive jokes, but now acts like he's shocked by anything not safe. It's like a lion teaching the jungle to go vegan. You can almost hear Greg's inner voice. So let me get this straight, Jimmy. You built your fame on frat boy humor and now act like the moral compass of America? Adorable. That's the heart of Gutfeld's roast. Kimmel doesn't even seem to believe himself anymore. He's not growing. He's hiding behind soft, scripted kindness and applause-seeking sadness. It's like watching a dull play pretending to be deep.
I have a few names to add. CNN, MSNBC, CBS, the town crier. All outlets ignoring Biden's revolving door of gaffes, his constant forgetfulness, weird rambling speeches being let off stage. All the while you told us there's nothing to see here. Meanwhile, any parent can see this face means you gotta change a diaper.
But Gutfeld? He avoids dull like it's a food allergy. His comedy is wild, loud, colorful, and he's proud of it. He's not out to impress media snobs. He doesn't perform for Twitter likes. He just tells jokes. Crazy, right? In 2025, the boldest move in late night is being actually funny. At this point, comparing the two is embarrassing. One guy gives sad little TED Talks with awkward laughs. The other runs a full comedy clinic packed with real laughs and no apologies. Kimmel's show sounds like it was written by his PR team. Gutfeld's show sounds like someone who stopped caring about red carpet invites. And the best part? Greg didn't even need Jimmy in the room to destroy him. That's the power of a focused monologue. He didn't argue with Kimmel. He didn't reply to him. He wrecked the idea of him, the late-night host who ditched jokes for speeches and can't figure out why people stopped watching. And just when you think Greg couldn't go harder, he brings out the ultimate roast tool, a highlight reel of Kimmel's past, the hypocrisy mixtape. Gutfeld wraps it up with sarcasm and precision, cutting deep with jokes like a buzzing chainsaw. Because nothing screams moral leader like the guy who once hosted The Man Show, cheered for trampolines, and now lectures America in a blazer like he's the Dalai Lama of late night.
Dana, I'll start with you. It was a terrible night for women. Trump won more women. He won the popular vote. What are these people moaning about?
I don't know. I mean, today, Brian Stelter tweeted that there was a talent agent who told him that a lot of members of the media are questioning whether they have it in them to cover another Trump cycle. And then they wonder why the working class is like, guys, you are so out of touch with what real work is. And also, they didn't really cover the Biden administration. They didn't cover the border.
Gutfeld didn't have to search hard. Kimmel's old comedy is packed with the exact stuff he now pretends to hate. Crude jokes. Yep. Making fun of accents. Got it. Skits that aged worse than old fish. Triple yes. Kimmel might want us to forget it all. But Gutfeld came ready, with receipts sorted like a filing cabinet. It's not every day you see someone acting like the voice of virtue after doing a sketch in blackface as Karl Malone. But hey, who's counting? Oh right, Greg is. Loudly. With ad breaks. And then there's Kimmel's favorite move, crying on national TV. Nothing says deep thinker like tearing up mid-speech about a bill he probably skimmed once. But when it comes to real issues, he reacts like someone whose coffee order got messed up. Gutfeld didn't hold back. He turned that contradiction into confetti. His best burn? Kimmel cries more than my toddler at nap time, with less dignity. Ice cold. Ratings froze. But Greg wasn't done. He called Jimmy the Dan, comedy version of a Prius with a megaphone. Quiet, smug, and totally useless in an actual race.
So these fellas are experiencing deep mental pain. And it's not just them. Journalists are now offering tips to deal with their disappointment, frustration, even fear. And I get it. That's normal after any loss. I'm still mad about losing world's sexiest man to Johnny Depp. But why would people feel fear? Maybe because their only news sources are constantly telling them Trump's going to turn America into Germany. But you know who felt actual fear during the Biden administration? People who had to ride the subway or have to buy groceries.
In plain English, Kimmel's got all the preachiness of a self-help podcast without the advice or the listeners. Watching him scold America feels like your dentist yelling about flossing while munching on a donut during your cleaning. Here's where Greg stands out. Not just in his jokes, but how he delivers them. He doesn't toss lazy insults. No, Greg carefully crafts every roast. He's not just mean, he's accurate. He doesn't punch down. He punches through the nonsense, comes out the other side, drink in hand, grinning. That's what makes him dangerous, he thinks. He writes, he aims. It's not hot air. It's a 5-course roast with dessert and a comedy toothpick. His burns land because they're right. Kimmel, meanwhile, hands out soft punchlines like a dad trying to impress the kids at dinner. He's become the human version of a clap if you agree sign. Where Gutfeld makes you laugh and think, Kimmel makes you feel like you're stuck in a school assembly led by a guidance counselor with Twitter drama. Real satire cuts clean. Woke satire? That's just nap time approved by HR. But Gutfeld? He's wide awake, buzzing, roasting, and toasting Kimmel like a marshmallow with an attitude. The audience noticed. Praise rolled in. People saying Greg said what no one on Kimmel's team dared to. Late night wasn't just boring. It was broken. And Gutfeld? He walked in with duct tape and a flamethrower.
Up to being wrong, you're more than likely going to end up right once in a while. But these guys have been wrong for 8 years. They've been wrong for 8 years because they can't let go of their egos. It's true in the media. It's actually, it's true among the never Trumper Republicans. If you look at the sourpusses, it's an internal emotional feeling that why him, Trump, and not me? Whether it's like, I don't know, Bill Kristol or Jonah Goldberg. It's like, these are guys that were generally normal. And then their egos just kind of like, they just took it hard.
Let's not forget. While Kimmel clutches his pearls and cries behind his desk about the state of the world, Gutfeld is winning the ratings game. No pandering, no pretending. Just showing up and being, imagine this, funny. What a concept. Late. Night TV has turned into a graveyard for jokes that never made it past the writer's room. Kimmel walks through like a grief counselor for comedy. Gutfeld? He throws a party on the headstones, with a kazoo. His takedown wasn't just personal. It was a full-on breakdown of everything wrong with late night. The fake seriousness, the cheerleading crowds, the idea that a celebrity rant counts as political commentary. His mockery made people laugh, then think, then laugh harder. And here's the final jab. Kimmel doesn't even look like he enjoys being funny anymore. Every episode feels like punishment for jokes he made in the 2000s. The laughs sound forced. The clapping? Probably running on battery power. Meanwhile, Greg's having the time of his life. He's the student who figures out the homework isn't graded, so he writes a rap about history and still gets an A. He's wild, smart, and, worst of all for his critics, free. That's what scares guys like Kimmel. You can't fake being real. So no, there was no dramatic back and forth, no Kimmel come back because he can't afford one. You can't clap back when you are the joke. Greg didn't make Jimmy explode. He just let him keep being Jimmy. And that did the job. Gutfeld became everything Kimmel used to be. And more. Funny. Fearless. On point. And he never had to raise his voice. When the joke's that good, you don't need to shout. Just deliver it right. And Gutfeld? His timing? Perfect. Just ask Kimmel. Or don't. He's still recovering from the roast that torched his reputation faster than a canceled sitcom. He's still reading his jokes, still pretending the laughs aren't echoing in an empty studio. Meanwhile, Greg? Already planning his next roast. Coffee in hand, smirk on face. Because when your competition is out giving TED Talks during comedy hour, all you have to do to win is tell a joke. One without a lecture or a guilt trip. And that, folks, is how Greg Gutfeld turned Jimmy Kimmel from late night king into a cautionary tale. No fight, no reply, just carnage. Hilarious, glorious carnage.